Yeah.
There's no audience there, so
I know it's funny, isn't it?
It's just recorded for just as a demo. Yeah.
Oh, my guest Theo Blekmann. Hi, Theo.
Hi, Cathy. So nice to see you and get to know you.
You too. You know, we were mentioning that we I mean we've met each other over the years, but we've never really
hung.
Yeah, really hung. And
we've sung on stage together once.
Yep, that's right.
and that was a
Um,
long time ago. And other than that, I hear your name coming up so often when when it comes around jazz singers in L.A. And of course, my sister and dear friend Kate McGarry is always saying wonderful things about you. So you're always somewhere in the conversation.
I'm always somewhere, popping up somewhere in the.
Yes.
Who is that girl? I think that's my fate, which is fine.
It's
You
a
know.
good fate to have, to be in people's
Yeah,
hearts.
yeah, it's good. It's kind of like I'm everybody's sister.
Yeah.
I like that. Um, so just doing a little cutting and pasting here.
Hmm.
Oh, John Prue says hi, hi,
Hi. Hi.
hi, Roland. Roland already likes you. You're an out of the box thinker. Yes, he is.
Yeah, hope so. I hope so. Trying to.
When was that recording done? Recent?
Just before COVID,
Oh, a year
my
ago or so.
booking agent. This is my new band, which has now been on hold for a year because of COVID, and so we needed
Great
to
band.
record some, just pieces to presenters.
Yeah.
And so my booking agent asked me to do this, and the Jazz Gallery in New York allowed us to film there, and so we did four pieces. And just as we had finished it, the end of 2019, what happened. So here we are.
Yeah. Great band.
Yeah. Oh my God. On fire. Those guys are unstoppable.
Yeah.
I have a very great relationship with Ulysses Owens, who's also done another project that I was part of, and has become a very good friend and collaborator. So yeah, it's a great band. Really
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome. It's just so it sounds almost like duh, but I'm always amazed that there's so many incredible musicians on the planet that I keep coming across that maybe I haven't been in my wheelhouse, and it's it's kind of thrilling actually to me.
Yeah, and they're getting better and better and better and better and better
Yeah.
through the education and through the that's available, and through the internet and YouTube and all the tools now available, even more so than 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
And
unbelievable.
community. I
Yeah,
think the younger people coming up, who are already accomplished, I think they spur each other on, and it's it's really rewarding.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah. Here's a question on your music. I'm assuming that you're the arranger. Is that
yeah,
correct? Yeah,
yes, yeah. So that was obviously, Beatles song, "Hey,
yeah,
You've Got to Hide Your Love Away," and I sort of, it's very fragmented in hopefully a good way, but I wanted to take sort of take these different sections and have different focuses. I mean, there's that up tempo thing in five, and then there's that sort of Eric Satie middle section. And just wanted to go to town on that arrangement. That was written for the Frankfurt Jazz Festival that had a Beatles focus a couple of years ago, and I wrote that arrangement for a Beatles project that I did in Europe with Julia Hülsmann's band. She's a piano player, also on ECM. So
Oh, I was
anyway,
just going to say, and I thought I had read that in your bio. She's an ECM art.
yeah.
You're an ECM artist.
Well, yeah, apparently. I mean, right now everything is on hold. I did my last record was on ECM called Elegy, and then I did two records, one with Julia on that, and then a few also with Meredith Monk on ECM before that. So yeah,
We'll watch a little. I'm eager to watch a little bit of that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. ECM has always been just such a beautiful label, and some of my favorite people on it.
yeah,
From college too. That was when I first and ECM was really it was kind of the only guy on the block doing music then. That was the mid 70s.
yeah,
Just they were the only guys doing that kind of stuff, and it blew my mind, that music. It was because I had come up in kind of a very straight ahead
Yeah,
jazz
yeah,
environment, and I went to Berkeley, and that's where I discovered a whole bunch of different things. And of course, there was a lot of stuff, other stuff happening like Motown and all of that kind of stuff
yeah.
too. But
Well,
ECM was like,
ECM
wow,
still, yeah,
what is
it's
that?
he has really shaped the a certain stream of jazz music, and not only in the style, but also in this the way it's recorded and the way it sounds. And
What in what way recorded? Is it you mean in particular studio or
yeah,
with
particular
parameters?
studio with Jan Erik Kongshaug, is no longer, but a specific engineer, specific piano sound,
Hmm.
specific reverb settings that that are particular to the sound of ECM. And then also the thing that is really interesting is that most of the recordings I've done with Manfred are either first or second takes. There's not a lot of fixing, not a lot of patching together on any of what I've done. It's usually a full take, or maybe we'll splice together the first and second take because of the break in the middle. But it really is about capturing the playing, not the engineering, not the trickery in the
Right,
studio, which
right.
now is really, really high level, like people recording their own records at home through technology.
Mm,
Technology has become sort of one of the tools that we express ourselves with, this filter and that thing, and then there's this section inserted, and everything is very like Legos, just
yeah,
like
yeah.
tiny, tiny little pieces put together. Whereas Manfred is very insistent, and it's very clear that if you go into the studio, you have to be able to play everything. Like there's no rehearsing in the studio or fiddling or fitzing around or let's try this. There is experimentation, if but
Yeah.
only after everything is completely rehearsed. And so when I went into the studio for my solo record with him, I rehearsed, and then did a little showcase in New York, just for my friends, just to be completely clear on what the music will sound like, because it hadn't been really toured much. So that's a very different idea of how music is captured than it
Yeah.
is today, where everybody is really on their logic and just patching everything together in
Yeah.
400 takes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. It's almost, well, it's a funny circle, isn't it? Like it circles around to the old days, when people just came in and did a take, maybe two, and
Yes.
that's it. There was
Yep.
no editing. And I mean, if you sang out of tune, you sang out of
Too
tune. There was,
bad, exactly, no fixing there,
yeah.
because also on the Kurt Weill record that I did with Julia for
Yeah.
ECM, I was in the same room with everybody else, so there was no
Oh,
fixing there. And in Elegy too, Shai Maestro, the piano player, and I were in the same space,
yeah.
so there were only there wasn't really any fixing to be done because there was too much bleed.
Yeah.
So that puts you in a very different head mindset that you really have to be in the moment. You have to really deliver something that you normally can't. You can't rely on the studio. And Manfred is the one who hears the goal. He like hears exactly which take. He's like, that was a good moment. This is the magical one, and that among many other things is the
So
the magic
valuable.
of Manfred Eicher.
That is so valuable.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, having produced a bunch of people, it's, and just been in the studio. There's so many moments that you have. You might really like a moment, and then later on, if you listen to it, you might not. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
one little teeny piece. There's so many different head frames that you can be in, and having somebody who really does the job well, you
And
know,
who you can trust.
yeah, oh man, who you can trust. I always say if I found a producer that was like me, I would hire them, but I don't know
Yes.
any producers like me. So,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. It's a tricky thing. And in jazz, producing, what does that even mean?
yeah.
Like, so Manfred is really somebody who actually sometimes uh, goes into the music and says, "Oh, I think this is too long. Can we change?"
Hmm.
Like, and that to me is invaluable. Some people do not like that, especially in jazz. There's a lot of, I'm the artist and I created this and
Mm.
therefore
Yeah.
it's complete. But if I work with a producer, and I've worked with other producers, then I'm part of this project, a process. Otherwise, why bother? Otherwise, I can
Yeah.
go and do it myself.
Right.
And if I work with somebody like Manfred or like Stefan Winter from Winter and Winter, then their input to me is valuable. And here's why. For me, a record is not a performance. A record is a record, and a performance is a performance. So a theater is not film, right? So if I put something on record, that does not necessarily have to reflect a live performance. That's a different medium, and somebody that has experience and who I trust can tell me this section doesn't work here, or this is too long, or whatever, and I consider it. Of course, it doesn't mean that I always agree, but it's, to me, that's why you have a producer.
Yeah. Do you, this is kind of a personal reflection question, but do you, as the singer, I would imagine you have few challenges in regards to singing in the moment and singing and enjoying the moment of the musicians and the music and everything comes together. Do you ever feel with a producer, not necessarily them, but with a producer that that they want something that you don't, or that you haven't, like that you might feel a little restricted by their points of view?
No, I don't. I think restriction sometimes is a good thing.
Mm.
I think that when somebody gives you restrictions, you can then become more creative to make something out of it. To me, that's not. I don't feel restricted, partially because I've worked with so many composers that have written music either for me or whose music I've sung, and for me, that is actually kind of a wonderful challenge to find creativity within smaller and smaller parameters. I often compare it to going into outer space. You have to be in a very small capsule. You have to be in a very small space, and you have to train for years. But then when you go up there, you see the most wonderful things, and you have a view from above that you wouldn't have. But you have to go into a very small, narrow space. So I sometimes feel like sometimes when the parameters are really, really narrow, that's when you actually can become more creative.
Wow, that's really great. I would love a lot of people to hear that and think about it in various actions of life. That's
Yeah,
just such a great metaphor to actually apply in your
Y-
life.
yeah. I think the idea of ego, or the me being realized, is a little bit overrated and maybe too high on the list of
Yeah,
importance, because it's not really about you as or me. It's
yeah,
about
yeah.
To me, it's about the music. What
Mhm.
can I do to bring something to life?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
whether that's narrowing something down that I normally want to do or show off, or to me that's completely that's an attachment to the ego.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good thing to remember too. And sometimes those things like Carmen, not Carmen Lundy, Carmen Bradford, we were talking and she said in the studio she likes to remember to leave room for God. And
hmm
just that line, man, I took that into the studio with me several times after that, and it just reminded me again and again of what you were just saying. It's not about me, it's about the whole creation.
yeah, and I'm saying this, as we are both teachers, and there's a lot of students that feel that it's all about them, that music making is about me the whole time, and that being an artist, and which is a word I very, very seldomly use, almost never, for myself, but that it's all about expressing yourself and who you are and digging deep and all that. That's partially true, but it's also about something much larger than you. And so I try to always keep that on the front burner and always remind my students that it's not about you. And that is often why students get very nervous, because they feel everything of themselves is on the line. Whereas if you think it's about the music, then you don't have to be as nervous.
Perspective, yeah. I used to talk about, because the thing you're describing is inflow, right? You're looking at yourself, you're analyzing yourself, and it's actually about outflow.
Yes, exactly.
So
yes.
when you can really kind of get that idea and work with it, it's much better.
Yeah, that's true. I often say, you don't have to have a good time. The audience has to have a good time. It's partially, that's a little incorrect but everybody's so concerned with having a good time on stage. Like, you're having a good time and it sucks. Like, it sounds terrible, but you're having a good time. That's of no use.
Well, I've heard a lot of people say, you serve the music.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's the
I like that term.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully you have a good time.
Yes.
But it's not automatic that if you have a good time, the audience has a good time. That's not enough.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately not.
I know. That's so true. Hi, Allison Wedding. Hello.
Allison Wedding. Oh my God, how I love that woman. Can we all give Allison some love?
Allison Wedding. I'm just getting my phone so it doesn't continually ring and bother us.
All these gigs, my God.
Oh yeah.
Giggles.
I do have a gig actually starting to happen, which is
what? Get out of here.
Outside this really before COVID I had started it too. It was, well, I shouldn't say before COVID. It was as COVID was happening, but in the beginning. And it's outdoors. It's in a really nice outdoor situation with lots of space, and and so it's starting again. And the owner is he's the owner that you dream about. So nice and so hip. So great point of view. So.
Gigs. Oh my God.
I have a gig coming up. Woo-hoo.
Yay, a gig.
So, what John Prue said, I've heard the phrase, be exciting, not excited. Okay, that's the same kind of idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It's sort of the...
let's see. I know you're German, and Judy Rafat, who's living in Germany, she's a singer and a teacher. Mm-hmm. She wanted to know. But, so did you, when you grew up, were you more involved in theater or music? Because you seem to have a very strong, I don't know what word to use, but a very strong bass, or it feels very theatrical.
You all heard that was a low D, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very rare. So I grew up playing classical piano and guitar, later classical guitar, which was a nightmare. The classical guitar part.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things to play.
Yeah.
And I was a boy soprano in a choir. But what I really wanted to do was to be a visual artist. And I studied painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff. And as my voice came back after my voice break, I started singing, and a friend of mine introduced me to jazz. And so that's when I sort of fell into making music with a little trio, and we played a little bit. And the idea of sitting or standing in front of a canvas, a blank canvas, or just being alone every day for the rest of your life to make art or to make something, to make stuff that hangs on walls, was just the loneliest future I could possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. Always drawing only from yourself, and just standing there, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I cannot be a visual artist all day long. It's just not possible. And I really enjoy the interaction with other musicians. And I sort of learned that at the time. Meanwhile, I had also been a competitive figure skater and gymnast, and so that's where my physical, theatrical thing maybe comes in. But that's really all. I was never, I mean, I was in plays in high school, like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know how you had time for all those things.
I
That's
don't either.
a lot of things that are have
No
dedicated.
internet. That's all I can say.
Well, yeah, that is so true, isn't it? Gosh. Um, yeah. Let's see. Um, you're so you were in Germany, and then, as I remember, I guess did you just go directly to New York, or?
Yeah, so here's what happened. In 1987, Sheila Jordan did a little workshop at the university in Graz in Austria,
Okay.
which was very far away from where I lived, even though Europe is all one little clump. But I just got on a train for 15 hours. This was a 15-hour train ride. And I went there to audition for her class, and I got into her class, and that changed sort of my trajectory of how I thought of how serious I could be in this field. Because up till then, it was a fun hobby, and here's this little German kid who has, no sense of where he belongs in this field, and do I even have anything to say here or what? And so Sheila's workshop was a 4 months intensive at the university there. I got into the program. She had 6 students there that she mentored, and after that, that's when things became serious. I applied for a scholarship at Berkeley School, where you went, and I got a scholarship, and because Sheila had become a very good friend and a mentor during that time, she invited me to come to New York and check out Berkeley School of Music while I'm here. Take a bus to, Boston and check it out, which is exactly what I did. And as soon as I came to New York, I knew I didn't want to go to Boston. I just don't want it, but just still went to Boston, had a little, tete-a-tete with one of the, advisors there, and came right back to New York. And I said, I want to stay in New York. So Sheila helped me get a scholarship at Manhattan School of Music, and that's where I started in
Cool.
1990.
Are you
Yeah.
still, I'm just curious, are you still friends with the other people who were being mentored in Graz?
No, I mean one singer, Melanie Bong, I still have contact with on Instagram, but most of the other people are sort of gone, not dead, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, New York must have been, you're not that old, but still, this was a while back. So New York at that time was probably really slamming, right?
New York was, yeah, it was not dirty, but it was a little uh, grimy and a little scary, and there were certain neighborhoods that you just could not get into, like the Lower East Side or, Alphabet City was a no-go. Chelsea had its corners where you couldn't really be, and it was just a city that you had to earn to be in,
Yeah.
right? So it was a place where people came to that had ambition and had a sense of adventure, and that all changed with Sex and the City and money and cupcakes, basically, where New York became a status symbol, and New York became chic, and New York became this thing that you could buy yourself into. Whereas when I moved there, it was not that glamorous, and it didn't have all the mega stores, and it didn't have Starbucks and banks and Rite Aids on every corner. It wasn't like that at all. And I remember being mugged on the corner of 7th and 14th
Huh.
in daylight, just
Oh,
complete, like at noon. Like, what? Um, so that wouldn't happen, maybe it would happen now after COVID. But so that city was a place of like-minded people, not of people with money.
yeah. And so the music Um, did you? How did you enter into the music there? Did you jump into? Well, obviously you were meeting. I mean, anyone who knows at all anything about this lifestyle and cities, you find the musicians. You go sit in, you shake hands, you sing, you do projects, free
Yeah.
projects, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, partially through Sheila, I met a lot of
Hmm.
wonderful musicians, and that was very helpful.
Yeah.
When by the time I got to New York, and I was already, I'd already studied and been through a lot of the bebop and the traditional singing, and for me, the next big thing was to make music that is really avant-garde,
Oh,
whatever that meant.
yeah.
For me, the more complex and the more difficult the music at that time, the better. That
Mm,
to me was where I wanted to be. So
yeah.
I arrived, and I did sit in and I did do some, just club singing and standards and arrangements of all of that. And but then Sheila introduced me to a piano player and composer named Kirk Nurock, who was sort of straddling between contemporary music and jazz. So he was a Juilliard trained composer, and he had worked on Broadway, but he was also a contemporary music composer, and he knew all the stuff. And so we started to play together, and he wrote some music for me. Some of it was very melodic and beautiful, and some of it was very angular and atonal.
Yeah.
And so that set me on a journey of getting into much more complexity. Um, then started to work with Mark Dresser as a bass player.
Oh God, I love
Yeah,
Mark Dresser.
Mark is fantastic. He had a band in 1994 called Forest Green with myself and then Dave Douglas and Phil Haynes on drums and Damon Maroney on piano and him on bass. And that music was hyper complex. It was really, really difficult and fun. Yeah. And so the harder it was to listen to, the harder it was to play, the better for me. I was like, give it to me. Pile it on. To me, that was something to conquer. At that time,
Yeah.
in the early 90s,
Yeah.
which has I've since, come around a few times to other places, but that's where I started. I sort of went backwards. So I started at the weirdest, most difficult, 29 people in the audience at the Knitting Factory, kind of on a good day, and then I worked my way back to more melodic and simpler stuff, perhaps.
What's so beautiful about working backwards, though, is
Yes.
you bring that stuff with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it feeds what you're doing now. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Kendra Shank loves you.
Hi, Kendra.
Um, and oh, I have a friend on here, a really great singer named Mon David, and he's an admirer of yours.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
He's a great singer, and yeah, he just came out with a record. You know Josh Nelson, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mon and Josh had a duo record that just came out. That's
Ah, nice.
beautiful. I'll have to send you a copy.
Yes.
Nice. Um, well, um, so these days, I mean, obviously, I always have to say these days, except for COVID, um, and even through COVID. I mean, I think COVID has brought us all, and not just musicians, but speaking of you and I, people like us, just a different point of view on music, our music, what's coming out of us.
Hmm.
We have different. There's just a different time element where we can observe and take in, and it really, I feel it really makes a difference in my own music. So, what are you working on? Are you working besides maybe something for hire? More speaking about your own development. Are you working on certain things right now?
I'm working on composition mostly. I'm teaching composition now, and I'm catching up on a lot of compositional techniques and all that kind of stuff for myself. But what I'm working on is mostly writing right now, and it's really stuff that might never see the light of day. It's really more of just going inward and trying out new ideas for myself. I just finished a project, or that just came out with the Westerlies, which is a brass quartet.
Yeah.
That record came out, and that was sort of another sort of push forward into writing and arranging for an ensemble, unusual instrumentation, 2 trombones, 2 trumpets, and writing new material, setting, my own words, and writing quite simple, if I might say. So that just came out, and now I'm just, guns are loaded. I mean, I'm waiting for this Corona thing to be over so I can have a gig. I was supposed to go on a tour in Switzerland with a chamber music trio, performing contemporary music written for this configuration, for this trio plus me. And that just got canceled because
Oh,
Europe being so far behind. And that is a bummer.
that is a bummer
Yeah.
because
So,
that sounds like a great expansion.
yeah, I mean, this was contemporary music. Like everything is written out, everything is notated. There were some performative ideas and directions. It was the one piece was a theatrical contemporary music performance with with sort of choreographic ideas written into it, which love that stuff. But it has to wait. We'll do it next year.
Were you dancing?
Yeah, there's supposed to be movement in it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. What I find interesting for me is, I love dancing. I love expressing myself through movement, but it doesn't have to be Broadway. It doesn't have to be, it can be
Yes.
contemporary or it can be very challenging. One of my, great influences in that arena is Pina Bausch. I don't know if anybody even remembers the choreographer from
No.
Germany, but very cutting edge and beautiful, strange, enigmatic kind of stuff. And to me, that's where I live. Like you don't have to necessarily know what it means, but it has to move you. It has to touch you very deeply without you having to know what it actually means.
Yeah, I think movement is amazing, and especially the right kind of movement, and even just simple movement. I remember when I saw John Schofield at the old Catalinas in town, and he was with Seamus, the sax player
Just
Seamus.
Blake? No, that's no.
He Irish name, but anyway, he's a really great sax player. So it was just a trio and these two guys, and they were out front. They did something that blew my mind. They were both soloing at the same time, which is a wonderful tool, right?
Yeah.
When it's used well. And then they were facing front, and then they both started like facing outward, and my head blew apart. It was so effective. It was so
Yes.
great.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, complex. It's
Yeah.
sometimes the simplest. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's wonderful.
In fact,
Fantastic.
I was just talking with some friends about let's see, what was it? I guess it was a Japanese production, and the dancers took the whole set to move across the stage.
They took the whole set. What you mean? Oh, I see.
Physically
Nice.
move across the stage. I mean, it's so slow and
Yeah,
so subtle,
it's very Robert Wilson.
while the whole, I mean, can you imagine? Talk about an effect. Ew, it gets me
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah,
it.
so that sort of involvement with contemporary performance art and theater has always been something that I have been interested in and have always gelled with. I did a performance for the Whitney Museum in 1997 in um, which I had, the words were printed on a piece of paper each, and during the performance I would stand on a balcony and throw the paper over this balcony while 3 seamstresses made a paper suit out of that paper. and that was a music performance. And at the end, I put the paper suit on, and that's the end of the performance. So that kind of relationship between performance and music has always been something that I keep working on while I'm doing concert works and while I'm doing other works. But that's sort of a little bit of a love affair I have with contemporary music and
Yeah, I think that's why I've thought that you might be into theater. I saw you several years back here at the Black Box at the Broad.
uh-huh.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was. I remember being very impressed with the theatrical.
Oh, it was probably the German Kurt Weill stuff.
Oh yeah, maybe it was actually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite theatrical because that's mostly Bertolt Brecht kind of stuff, and it's political and sort of Weimar period kind of music. Yeah, that's
That was
that
quite the project.
that was beautiful. That was and it still is. I mean, I still get requests for this kind of, and that was with a string quartet, wasn't it?
I think it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah, that was nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was a nice performance space too.
yeah, the
I
road.
think that doesn't that inspire us too, the performance space, right? Of course.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the space itself is beautiful, and the way that people sort of hug you,
Yeah.
sitting, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's just big enough and just small enough.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, let's pick something to listen to. You had mentioned with Meredith.
Yeah,
That's
so
something that is that
also
something that hopefully won't get taken down?
no, it won't get taken down if it's on YouTube like that. I don't think it will be taken down.
Okay.
So this is a piece called Hocket. So in 1994, I started to work with Meredith Monk. She was looking for somebody to do these duets with because Robert Ian, the baritone that was her partner in these duets, was moving to LA. So a friend of mine recommended that she work with me, and so you know we met, and this is one of the pieces that was one of the first pieces I worked with Meredith on, and that's called Hocket. And so it's sort of a ping pong, but it's not a regular ping pong of pitches. You'll see, and also the way we're facing each other is part of the choreography, I guess.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Oh God, that is so good. Oh God, love that. Oh my God. Wow. All right, I have to listen to that.
What shoes am I wearing? They're super weird.
Let's see.
Look like home slippers.
Looks like slippers, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so weird.
Wow, I love that, and I bet Mon loves that because, Mon and I have this 7-piece vocal improv group called Fish to Birds, and so I'm guessing Mon is going, oh my God.
Yeah, that piece is so scary because if one person flops, the other one is screwed. It's the definition of complete interdependency. One part by itself is nothing without the other, and one part can like if one person makes a mistake, we've sort of learned how to recover once sometimes, but it is really because it is so fast, and there are a few cues that I'm giving to go on to the next section, but mostly it's through composed. So it's
actually a written piece that you.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it is. I can imagine how if you drop something, how to get back. I mean, you have to get into the timing and kind of jump on where you remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you learn how to recover, but it really is one of the scarier pieces to perform because you are completely dependent on the other person. You can't improvise your way out of this.
Your voices both are so, your ranges are, wonderful.
Yeah.
Your voice production is really nice. I mean, I'm still a student, I still have my voice teacher, and I really keep working on the right perspective, because even though when I'm a student, I have to evaluate and fix and do things like that, there's also a point of view that's, well, not just one, but, these things that are necessary, like hearing the music in your mind as opposed to making the music,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when I hear something like that, it's very satisfying to me from that angle. So the range and the accuracy of the tone, the intonation, and the sound is beautiful.
Yeah. So to me that's even beyond technique, because you have to go by muscle memory, because it's so fast that you can't really plan on a certain note. So the the precision of the pitch and the sound and the blending with each other is something that has to be there. You can't make that in the moment. You can't plan like whoop, whoop. That has to just come out at the right moment. In a way that is just completely reflexive.
Yeah.
You don't have time. There's just no time to think about. No, I'm going to sing an ooh.
Yeah.
It's just. But it really, for me, and I still take lessons, and I still have a voice teacher. I work with Jeannie Lovetri, and for me that is part of the joy, of this work. Just you never stop. Like there's no end to this, and the thing that I enjoy in working with other composers, not only Meredith Monk, but is to you learn your limits, and then you see, oh, this is my limit. I can't fully belt up to an E flat, and then you try to see if you can do something different. Because if you're only working with your own aesthetic, you can work around your weaknesses in a wonderful way. For me, it's also fun to push myself into new territory. And sometimes you work with composers, instrumentalists, that don't really know how to write for the voice, and I kind of like it.
I'm not surprised.
It's like, okay, well, this doesn't really work yet. Let's see if we can make that work. To me, it's fun. That's like you have something that sometimes a person has something in mind for the voice that doesn't exist yet. Let's see if we can bring it into existence, rather than that's not how you write for the voice. And maybe there should be more breath marks. Well, let's see if we can make this work. This is weird and completely bonkers, but if it's not out of my range, let's see if we can. Let's go as far as we can, and then
yeah. Well, it's great, and there's all levels of that too. I mean, that if anyone's listening who's a student and having trouble with a song, there's a level of it there too. You may not be able to sing a song now, but if you continue singing it, someone once said, I have to sing a song 7 times before it settles in and becomes mine. So even at that level.
Yeah, I mean that's I think why it took me so long to really feel like I have something to say in standards. It took me probably 20 years to really feel like I own the song. I have permission to now I give myself permission to sing this and have something to say in it. Because at my young age, I just felt like if I sing body and soul, what do I have to contribute to that? I have no what is my experience here? What am I bringing to the table other than clever musicianship, perhaps?
Yeah.
So I went the other way. I came from left field into this, and now I feel like I have something to say in this material. But yes, sometimes it takes more than 7 times. It takes 70 or 700 times.
Yeah, you have to be very patient and committed,
and loving. Like you have to really love the material. I often get students that think that or project on me that I hate standards because I do so much unusual material. The opposite is true. I love nothing more than standards. I love them so much that I have perhaps too much regard for them in some ways. Like I love them. I love the F out of them. And I would never collude against standards. I think they're these microcosms of perfect compositions. And whether you sing them contemporary or you trick out your arrangement or you sing them, very, very traditionally, I love all of it. If you do well. I just love all of it. It's not like one is better than the other.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, in fact, I've been, involved with a few groups every week. There's one group that's led by Luther Hughes, who's a really great bass player who played with a lot of great people. And it's basically a class of his, but he's invited a few people, old guys, to who have been around. And so we've been talking about, the whole standards and what I call jazz compositions, but the older ones. And because basically the class is helping younger musicians with the familiarity that we already know from lots of experience that they haven't had, and especially this year, you can't really go out and play with people. And so, but just revisiting the standards. I've been hearing standards since I was born, but there's certain ones that, of course, you and I really love, I'm sure, because melody, lyrics, form. I tend to really be drawn to what I call the little jewels, which are shorter, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe Rodgers and Hart, or it's really beautiful melodies, and the lyrics are poignant. They say a lot in even 16 bars. There's
Yeah.
one written by Julie Stein, who wrote Sentimental Journey,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Dance Only with Me. And I don't even know if it's 16 bars. I think it is 16 bars. And it's saying dance, the melody's totally sweet and simple. And the lyrics basically are saying, dance only with me. I adore you and I want you to dance. It's just really a beautiful it's small. It's just a small, but it's really quite
I have
beautiful.
a certain affinity for, the 20s and 30s, kind of like
Yeah.
your overcoat or
Paul
something.
Porter or
Very,
something.
yeah, it's something very sort of antiquated. And then also these weird sort of songs out of, like, one of my new obsessions is Put On Your Sunday Clothes from Hello Dolly.
Huh.
These songs that are sort of celebratory and completely unabashedly joyous. I love those. I have a very soft spot for this kind of material. It's not tortured or, trying to be complicated or anything. It's just pure joy.
That's great. Did you ever hear it was one of Betty Carter's last record. She's on the cover. It's a white cover, and she's kind of doing these poses, and she's dressed in a
Oh,
pant.
with this weird dress that goes like a curtain dress that
No,
goes.
she's in a pantsuit.
Oh no, I don't. No, I don't know that.
She did a song on that record of from that era called "This Time," and it. I mean, if you go back and listen to the original, it's really a 20s and 30s song.
Yeah.
But she, of course, did her Betty Carter thing, and she stretched it way out as a bossa nova, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Whatever she touches turns to gold.
Yeah,
Did you know that our dear friend Laurie Antonioli, wonderful singer from San Francisco,
wonderful.
is in one of the pictures of the audience with Betty Carter? She's on that record.
Oh,
She's in,
no.
if you have the LP, you open it. She's right
Oh,
there.
really?
It's so fantastic.
She's such a great singer.
Oh, she's wonderful. Yeah, we're good friends, and we're doing a vocal intensive every summer at the jazz conservatory. It's not jazz school
Yeah.
anymore. It's
So are
accredited.
you going to do it this summer?
Well, we're trying to. We're hoping that we can. We're hoping that we are able to. We didn't do it last year. We weren't going to do it online. Enough with the Zooms already, right?
Yeah.
So, so we skipped last year. It was going to be our 10th year. So hopefully we can do it this year. We're planning. I'm supposed to go to Siena this year also again, which was skipped last year. Siena Jazz, which is a 2-week workshop. Uh, and now with Europe being
Yeah.
thrown into question mark again, no gigs for me.
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, you're going to do something with Kate coming up, right? A
yeah.
workshop. Jeffrey
Yeah, we're
Gimble.
doing Luciana Souza and Kate McGarry, and I have tripled up to do a workshop that gives similar or different perspectives on the same topic. We have
Which is one topic, or is it?
pretty much, yeah. We're selecting. We're sort of laying out the curriculum right now, but yes, we have one topic per Tuesday, and then we're going to each lecture or give our perspective on that topic, and that's sort of to show that several things can exist at the same time, and to lay out different ways of approaching the same thing, rather than this is how you do you do it, but here's one way of doing it, and also the other way of doing it, and just to, I hate the word, we want to inspire, because that everybody wants to inspire everybody, but it really is to lay out some options, to give a larger idea of how things can be done, right?
Cool.
And we love working with each other. We respect each other. We have vastly different approaches, and all of them result in something meaningful. I think.
Well, speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, or bring up Moss.
Yeah.
Because Moss, as you know, wasn't that wasn't that wild? It was a terrible video, quality, but still, wasn't it kind of cool to see?
It was so cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
Moss,
had I had sorry I had videoed Moss. Moss is he'll tell you, but
yeah.
Moss is a group of wonderful singers, and they came to Los Angeles, and that spot. Gianelli Square was created by John Gianelli, who's a great bass player who played with Carmen for a long time.
Wow.
And unfortunately, he sold that building. But they came, and I set up my little home camera.
Thank God you did.
It was a wonderful concert, incredible concert. So, okay, now your turn.
Well, Luciana and Peter Eldridge were on a train ride and sort of concocted this vocal group that they wanted to do, in which instead of having sort of anonymous voices, you would have fully formed, singers that come together and write for each other and are featured on, each tune. So it's not as, swingle singers kind of idea.
Yeah.
But it's really the idea of individuals creating a vocal group together. And we did that mostly. The most rehearsals at Luciana's house when she still lived here in New York were, eating and chatting and giggling, and then quick, let's rehearse. And then we sort of came up with a record, and then we had a record that actually turned out to be a really nice sort of jewel. We're all very proud of this thing.
Yeah.
And we toured it, and that's when we came to LA. Touring with 5 people plus a trio, plus, well, Keith, our guitarist, was Kate's husband, so we saved on a hotel room. But that was 8 people.
Yeah.
Plus, so that's hard to tour even then. So we had such a great time singing with each other because our personal relationship to one another was really, really close. So it was Peter Eldridge, Luciana Souza, Kate McGarry, Lauren Kinnan, and myself. So 5 people. And then, so that was Moss. We've been trying to do this again. We had, thanks COVID, thanks for nothing. We were supposed to do a big residency in North Carolina in June, I think, of last year, with Moss. 5 Moss and have 2 weeks to record after that, and we started, talking about all of this and booking everything, and here we are yet again. Yeah, so things were thwarted by COVID. For this one.
What I say about Moss too, what struck me so, because my choral background, I was in various choirs. I grew up singing with 2 sisters, so I enjoy singing with other singers. It can be really wonderful in backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
But what was so cool about Moss was that the writing, as you said, it supported each singer's musical personality, and so it was quite different, because usually in a choir, even if there's a soloist, it's still about the choir piece, and all the singers are doing what they, what's written for the choir. But in Moss, everybody brought in, and I don't know if you took that into consideration while you were writing it. I'm assuming you did. Everybody brought in what they were good at. So it was a very unusual group.
Yeah.
And great, because all of you were great.
Yeah, it was lucky. I mean, it was really five personalities that gel, that respect each other, that allow for, things to be wacky and not complete in the rehearsal process. And there was a lot of trying out and a lot of pieces that didn't work, or, especially when I came in and brought my weird, things in there, and everybody was just willing and supportive. Yeah, let's try it, and let's go with it. Let's make this happen. I was like, no, it doesn't work. It's weird. It sounds awful. No, let's try. So everybody had those moments, and that's, I think, why things go further, because you don't have to come in completely, here are the parts, everybody sing your parts, and it sounds really good, and it sounds great on Sebastian. It'll sound even better on, when we record it. So it wasn't like that at all. It was very organic and very sort of, some pieces just happened the night before the recording too. Like the some of the background voices that I wrote for Take It With Me was just the night before we recorded. Some of it was, very spontaneous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that was sort of the idea, to have a vocal ensemble without the anonymity of a vocal ensemble.
Yeah. Really wonderful.
Thank you.
Did you, I don't want to forget this, did you, have you taken voice technique lessons? Or you mentioned Jeannie Levitri, and
Yeah.
Do you teach voice technique as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's...
Yeah.
Thank God. I teach at Manhattan School of Music. I've done some teaching at Princeton, and I'm teaching privately here at my house. Like, you should see what it looks like right over here. There's all dirty laundry and a pot. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I teach, and I'm kind of a vocal nerd. I think technique can sometimes be a window to other things. For me, it's again, for me to be able to execute certain things requires a certain technique. So if I do instrumental singing, if I do complex intervals or complex, like what you just heard with Meredith, that require, you can't just do that casually. You have to know what you're doing, unless you're born that way. Then good for you. But I wasn't, and I could do most of it up to a point, but to be able to be more precise and do certain things in certain ways and have more options vocally is not a bad thing. To be able to sing different vowel sounds and different registers is a good thing. It's helpful. And again, if I'm asked to sing an orchestra piece, then I might need to sing slightly differently than, and that doesn't mean I'm a different person.
Yeah.
This is where technique is helpful, because it allows me not to be a mimic of something I've heard or think I should be, but use my own voice and my technique to amplify different things within my own voice. Very simple. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, now I'm a classical singer, now I'm a cabaret singer, now I'm a jazz singer, now I'm always the same person, but I can amplify, I can change, I don't have to be this one trick pony, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I live. That's not for everybody. Some people just want to be one thing and one thing only, and then everybody else has to adjust. For me, I can also come a little bit your way, and you can come my way. That's sort of,
Yeah. Have you been studying with Jeannie Levitri for a long time?
yeah. And it was actually Meredith who Meredith is studying with Jeannie, and I had never studied real technique with anybody, so I was looking, and Meredith said, Jeannie Levitri is amazing. You should study with her, and that's when I started with her. And to my credit, I'm gonna boast. I'm gonna just give myself a pat on the back. I was very close friends with Dominique Ede, still am, actually.
Yeah.
And as she was looking for a teacher, I sent Dominique to Jeannie, and then I sent Kate to Jeannie, Kate McGarry, I sent Luciana to Jeannie. So the whole jazz influx of people all came through Meredith and me, sending, people to Jeannie, because there are very few people that understand technique and have a scientific, background, and have really the knowledge and the experience that Jeannie has is really incredible, and the results speak for themselves. So that's all I have to say about that. Jeannie did a research project in 1990, I don't know when, 4, 6, I don't know, where she invited me to be part of a medical research study on laryngeal position with different vowel sounds, and they put a camera down my throat to not only film that but also extended behavior, which is on YouTube, and it's really funny to see yodeling and ingressive singing. So they filmed, that kind of extended vocal behavior and stat singing. You could see it on YouTube. It's really funny, and I look like a dork. Yeah.
How do we? What would it be under if
you look Theo Blekmann and his larynx?
Okay.
I am now. So embarrassing.
So I've gone to Jeannie's site. I actually was considering going last year, and but obviously didn't
it's
happen.
online. She's everything online. It's a great online. I mean, if somebody can lecture online and make it be, super interesting, it's her.
So is she? Because it looked like she had other teachers doing it a lot.
Yeah, I did. I was one of the helper bees last go around for level 1 and 2 or something like that. Yeah. No, of course, there are breakout sessions. There's hundreds of people there at these seminars. It's amazing, from all over the world.
Yeah.
And then you have breakout sessions where, assistants help with, the material. But
she actually does do the
lecturing. Yeah, there's lots of different. There's medical lectures. There's all kinds of different other lecturers. But yes, for the most part, she's the one that's
yeah. And is that? I mean, not to go on and on, but is that basically a workshop for everybody? And the separate teaching? Is there separate teaching with her or others?
Oh, you mean having her teach private lessons?
Yeah.
I doubt that she's doing much of that these days.
Yeah, she probably has so many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is that through her organization?
Workshop, yeah.
Do people actually take vocal lessons through her organization as well?
Yeah, there's a list of teachers for each region, that are certified and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, considering the group of you who are taking from her, or who have taken from her, it's pretty impressive, because what's not to like?
Yeah, it's sort of this. There was an idea that vocal technique is bad or is shameful or something for jazz singers, and Billie Holiday never had a voice lesson, and nor did this great singer, and Ella never had a voice lesson, whatever. I think the demands of the contemporary jazz singer are different also than merely singing material that you choose.
Yeah.
Right? So for the modern jazz singer, rarely is that person that can always choose their repertoire. That's and for me, that's exciting to do other people's work. I can't say it often enough. It's not like I have to do it, or it's a gig until I can only do my own things. I get inspired by other people's writings. I find that interesting. It pushes me, sometimes musically, sometimes my musicianship gets better because of it. So for me, that technique is really a way to execute things better. When we did, Kate McGarry and I just did a recording with John Hollenbeck, a big band recording, and some of that stuff was really, really at the edges of our range, and it was fast and furious, and it was so fun, because you learn, you go beyond what you normally do. To me, that's exciting.
Cool. That's really nice.
Yeah.
By the way, my friend Dan DeVilla, he said he saw you at the Jazz Bakery in October of 2019 with
yes.
Endless Field and hold on one second. I'm going to show you some pictures, because you probably have seen these pictures, I'm sure, but it's just kind of cool that
what now?
You're here. I guess Bob Barry took these pictures, which I'm sure you've seen these, right?
These are wonderful.
Let me see if I can make them bigger. Is that? No, that's something else, right? Hold on. Uno momento, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I can't make them bigger. I don't know. But
here I am. If you click on it, there I'm singing an oh. Oh, these are wonderful. What am I wearing there? Oh, I know exactly what I'm wearing. There's Ike. Yeah, so, yeah. Chelsea Lewis, wonderful guitar player. And the space also is really lovely.
very nice.
Yep.
Well, that's nice. Bob did a good job.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I haven't played LA very much. Yeah, that's good. I'm eating. God, sometimes you see yourself and you're like, holy moly.
Oh, that's a nice shot. Beautiful shot. Yeah. So, how is that group?
That is a wonderful group, and we have started to record stuff together. Again, this, as for most of us, 2020 was going to be the year, right? It was going to be the year. So I went into the studio, I think it was December, actually, of 2019, with Endless Field, to lay down some demo tracks, and we were going to pitch it to Manfred. And to do some, because the synergy between the three of us is just really, really lovely. And the music that we've done together is, has sort of a great vibe. We did some videos, we did some audio recordings, we took some photos. The whole boutique package was ready to fly, and then everything shut down.
Yeah.
And it now seems, a year and a half almost later, or a year and 3 months later, it's like, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Are we going to pick up where we left off, or are we going to continue something else? Or it just all is a little unsettling. And I think that's for everyone. Like, and also the time that has passed, some other musical things have happened in other ways, and people started to, I made a bunch of records in the meantime, but
yeah.
Why? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm completely focused and completely together, and I every day I'm motivated and I get up and I rehearse these these pieces and then these scales. No, I mean there were months where I'm like, yay, I have nothing to do, yippee! I have been running around with my head chopped off, doing gigs and tours and all of this wonderful stuff, but I'm so glad to have nothing for a while.
Yeah, it feels really good, doesn't it?
It was so nice. And then it was, oh my God, I have nothing. I am nothing. I am nobody.
I have nothing.
Yes. I who have nothing. It was awful. And then, this Genie seminar happened, and I got a lot of new students through that, and old students came back, and European students appeared and are taking regular lessons, and Australian students appeared, and so suddenly I've become, a full-time teacher, which I love and enjoy, but this regular schedule thing is, wow, it's intense, having the same thing happen every week at the same time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I have visited in my mind that it's almost like I have really liked doing nothing, or doing what I want to do and not going out all the time, because I was going out a lot, because I just really like to go out and hear music and be part of the community. But and then when certain things, there was a period where there was a momentum like you're speaking of, and I was kind of indignant. I was like, what what do they expect from, I had to laugh at myself. It was like, really? Come on, like from nothing to something, and then, being somewhat indignant about the whole thing,
Yeah. I mean, it is so complicated. I don't even know where to start. It's so complicated because the expectation now is you just got to put out, like you got to output. And for me, it's like, I don't want to just do, a live broadcast from my, beige bookshelf. Like, no. So I don't know. It was throwing everything into question I think for everyone.
Yeah.
Some people are very focused. Here's what I want to be doing, and I'm doing
Yeah.
it all day long. But for most of us, I think we're like either no, I need to stop, and it's good to stop. Why am
Yeah.
I even doing anything? What does it mean? What is music worth in this environment, in this society? All these kind of questions that suddenly bubble up that you didn't have to deal with when you're running around the world, doing all these different projects.
Right. It's crazy. That is really crazy what you just said. I mean, that is really what it is. It's like you were you were so busy. I mean, with things that were important, that were,
Totally meaningful, deep,
yeah.
all of the good stuff. And, I have a booking agent and I have a manager and everything is lined up and wonderful and yay and super. And then suddenly, like, who am I? Why am I doing this? And is this even worth anything?
Yeah.
Is it, so everything gets thrown in reverse for everyone,
Yeah.
not just for me.
I know.
Everyone.
It is for everyone.
And things come in and dribble in, and people have projects, and I record a bunch of tracks as a guest on this record and that record, and I do it at home, and that's all fine and dandy. But the idea of performing in front of a live audience has never been more precious to me than now, and nothing can replace that.
Yeah.
Nothing can replace that. Even though we try to, but I think the idea of sharing something in the moment, very much like what we started talking about Manfred and the magic of the first take, this idea of this moment is what we're experiencing together. It's not constructed and it's not filmed. It's really this is something that is something I need, and I need an audience.
Yeah.
I need an audience for that. I'm a ham. No matter how complex the music is, I want people there to sit and clap and like me. Simple.
That's so funny. Recently I got into, for some reason, I'm not really sure what happened, but last week I got really revved up somehow, and I have all these different things that I'm doing, everything from taking a course in GarageBand, practicing flute, practicing singing,
Wow.
Practicing Spanish, watching my spiritual videos. I mean, just everything, right? And I got very excited about doing all of them. So I was like, okay, I'm putting in an hour here. Okay, I'm putting in an hour here. And I was doing it. And then yesterday, I was totally exhausted. It was almost like, how when you wake up early, like 4 days in a row, and you have these real long days, and then finally the fifth day is like, okay, you just
Done.
crash and burn.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
Pat
that.
down.
I thought it was funny. It was like,
I'm so impressed. Like,
well, it
learning this, learning
happened
that.
for a few days.
Oh my God, I just do nothing. The only thing that I've sort of started to learn is how to sew. My friend Henry Hay gave me a sewing machine, which I've always wanted to learn how to sew.
And you like clothes a lot.
I do like clothes a lot. I love clothes.
Yes, I've noticed, because you keep saying, what was I wearing?
Yeah. What are those shoes? Oh my God. I like clothes for. I think clothes are the set, like our set.
Yeah.
No, we don't have a set as jazz singers. So what you wear can set a mood, can be part of your of your enjoyment. It's not something I do to prove how hip I am. It's just
Yeah.
something I enjoy, and on a very basic level, I just like not fashion. I like clothes, for certain reasons. It's nothing. That's it,
Yeah.
and I that's all.
So you're
And
sewing.
and I think, yeah, so I started to learn how to sew, and I I've never had a hobby. Everything I always sort of anything in the artistic or sort of craftsy world has always been like I have to be good at it or else no.
Yeah.
And this is something I can be so bad at, and trust me, I have been very bad at it, but I enjoy every second of it. I enjoy taking the stitches out because I've done it wrong, and I enjoy redoing it. And there's something so no investment in it that is really fun. Like having something that is a hobby.
Yeah.
Really is a hobby. Like I don't have to be good at it to enjoy it. Actually,
Yeah.
the shittier I am at it, the more I enjoy it. It's kind of weird. But I can do little, alterations, and I can change my clothes sometimes. Not, that good. But yeah, so that's the only thing that I've taken. I've not learned a language. I've not taken piano lessons, or have not, no. I bow to you.
Well, it's my Gemini nature.
You're Gemini too?
Yes.
Oh my God, me too.
What date?
May 28th.
What? That is my birthday.
No!
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Get out of here!
I'm not kidding.
This is not staged. This is actually happening. What? We have the same birthday.
That's incredible. Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
Five. Wow. That never happens.
No, never. I do know a few people with my birthday, but I haven't come across one in ages and ages and ages. Oh my God, that's wild.
That is amazing.
Wow, Theo, now I understand you more.
Yay, Gemini. Yay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
That's really amazing.
I don't know, but I don't know too much about astrology. I know a little bit, over the years you collect stuff and you agree with stuff or you disagree. But I do know that in my 12 houses, I have absolutely no earth. That definitely describes me. And if I hadn't married my husband 20 years ago, who's literally balanced in everything, I probably would have, flown off,
Yeah.
like a balloon.
Yeah, that's very, Cathy, that's exactly, like what you just described, like
Yeah.
learning all these different things and doing all these different things is very much like me. And also the earthiness in my husband, his like
Yeah.
very calm, cool, no panic, no worry wart. Like that is very grounding. Yeah, I'm very
Really
grateful.
nice, isn't it, to be with somebody who's really balanced?
Yeah.
And it's just I mean, before I met my husband 20 years ago, I was always dating artists. I had a 17-year marriage with, an artist who, yeah. And anyway, so when I met my husband, I kind of freaked out because he was so not flighty and everything, and he had a job that he had had for years. And I called up my girlfriend. I said, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do." And she said, "Oh yeah, sure. We'd rather just be with the artist who doesn't care if we have any money or any." And there was this long silence, and then I thought, "Yeah, she's right." And I'm so glad, because everything just got super balanced, and I still am totally, creative and interested in various things. But
Yeah, no, I didn't know until I had it that I needed that.
yeah,
Did not
yeah,
know. It's sort of the Jenny Holzer saying, "Protect me from what I want." I wanted somebody to be
yeah,
I've always had somebody like that,
yeah,
and it was not a good combo.
yeah. May 28th.
Everybody,
Whoa.
don't forget it.
Okay,
Send
now I don't really care to I don't care if I admit my age. My year is 1953.
Mine is 1966.
Cool.
66 is so I in the Chinese zodiac I'm a fire horse.
Oh.
I guess that is also it contributes to the over here, over there, la la la. I can do a lot of things.
Is that like the year of the rat or the year of the snake, that kind of thing?
Yeah,
The year
it
of the
comes
fire
around
horse?
every 12 years. So
Yeah,
there's
I think
four elements, and then so Meredith and I are the same. We're both horses. She's 24 years, so 12 years. Every 12 years it comes around the same.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Speaking of Meredith and that, I noticed that Jay Clayton got on the line a while ago.
Jay! Yeah, Jay was my second teacher in Graz. After Sheila left, Jay took over, and I had a few months with Jay, who's, of course, one of the greats of all time. And
She's the
still,
great of all time. She sure is.
she is an unsung hero in my book. Yeah, amazing, amazing pioneer in use of electronics, and she was. I mean, can we just all bow down to some of the recordings that Jay has done with Steve Reich? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that is just miraculously incredible, and was very inspirational for me to see a jazz singer fit into the context of contemporary music in a way that was, stood out completely, and fit in at the same time. And I thought that was really inspiring.
Yeah, she's been a real jazz pioneer. She really, really has.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just spoke to her yesterday. Actually, we had a conversation, and yeah, she's so many things, and she's such a wonderful, kind person, which is a huge thing.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
kindness,
That's
really.
kindness and creative and just wild at times. Just the her use of electronics and the way she's going about pieces was or creating music was just so different and so risky. Like
Yeah.
the record she did with Jerry Gurnally on Winter and Winter, it was what was it called then? J had another name, that record label, but it was just it was beautiful, but also very strange, just the way I like it. Strange and beautiful. It lures you in, and you're just like, why am I here? Why am I not? Why am I staying? It's just it's fantastic. Yeah, she's wonderful. I love Jay. Hi, Jay. Jay.
Can we hear something again?
Yeah, of course. Let's go back to the. What would you like to hear? Something.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe from the last project with the Westerlies.
Yeah, if you think that won't get taken off.
No.
Okay.
There is this.
Oh, here's one right here.
That's a fully produced video. That might be nice. Look for the Union label. It's a piece that I arranged. Or we could do another holiday under there.
Okay.
Let's do
Right
another
here?
holiday. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Here.
that is a very simple piece, and I wrote that, and this deals with the theme of homosexuality or being different. Let's say it doesn't even have to be gay. Could be anything. And it's a song I wrote in direct response to the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida. And it was a song about, well, you'll hear the lyrics, but it's a song I would normally, labor over. This song just came out, and it has maybe 3 chords, 4 chords, so it's the opposite of, where I started as a jazz singer.
barbecue and pie. The kids will run around, and I'll sit on the side. The shopping is half off. Of course I'll have clean it up, another holiday. It's gray and cold outside. I'm turning off the news. Wait, I'll sit on the side. I haven't told them yet. I promise that I will add another holiday with barbecue and pie. We'll be a family then, and you'll be by my side. Our kids will run around, our favorite recipes. I'm sure they'll understand that love is just the same. When they will see your smile, they'll love you like their own. Every other holiday, they're asking how you are, and I say I don't know. And boy, it got so cold. There's football on TV. The kids are all grown up, and there's laughter all around, and other recipes. But what is there to say when they don't understand? I want just one holiday. I want just one holiday.
So that had some electronic looping in it, as you could see, and that was an improvisation. So, we think
That was an improvisation. What do you mean by that exactly?
like the middle section where we're all making, this ambient sort of textural sound there. That was improvised within, the harmony and the notes that are underneath the melody, because then the brass drops out and then it's just the loop and I. And so it's not necessarily a jazz song where, we're doing the chorus and then we're going to improvise over the chord changes. But that is an improvisation. And I like to point that out because we think of improv as usually over chord changes. And, that is one way to improvise, but there's many ways to improvise, through sound and through timbre, and especially here through articulation and different notes and different ambient kind of ideas that happen here. So in that way, it is, we state the chorus and then we improvise and then we state the chorus again. But it's a different way of improvising.
Yeah, it's a wonderful form. Beautiful. And I mean, I know the feeling of writing. I've written several, kind of a body of songs that are kind of what I call folky. And I recorded a few of them with Josh Nelson and Larry Kuntz, and they made them into really beautiful songs, And so it was, but I know that feeling of like, well, it's so simple. I always apologize when I pull songs out like that. This is really simple, but I like it.
Yeah. So I gave the Westerlies, a list of songs that were much, that were much more complex compositions in the list, and they all responded. All four of them were like, "We want to do this song."
Oh.
So that was nice, to get that, like, okay, well, maybe there's something in it that I, don't hear or don't. So that was a nice reaction. And so so that's sort of spawned a little bit more of how simple can you get and still be, meaningful and without being trite or boring or something,
Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what are they doing yelling in the background, man?
Oh, I thought it was Ed McMahon with a huge cardboard check. No.
Now that I keep waiting for the doorbell to ring with that. You had a lot of people loving this, and Kendra says it's beautiful, and Jay is there, and Roland loves it. And Carolyn, she loved the octave that you used at the end. And it's a beautiful, it's really beautiful. And
I mean, maybe another thing that we could play that would be fun to hear would be from the trio that we played at the beginning. I did a mashup of a Henry Purcell song and a Massive Attack song called Teardrop. So if we could go back to that list, and then you'll see, the different Dido's Lament. There it is. Go down, down, down under Lily Marlene. That one, mixtape. And that also shows different use of electronics and how I integrate it with the band, and has a little bit more jazz to it.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't just the song that you wrote; it was the horn parts too. That was really
super complicated, intricate, and there was a Hocketing aspect to it in the beginning as well. That was really hard to execute because the notes revolved. It wasn't always the same person playing the same notes. It was this.
Yeah.
It took forever.
Let me ask you briefly about that. When you write something like that, do you hear the whole thing kind of complete and then write it out?
No. So this was an arrangement that Riley did first,
Yeah.
And then I was like, let's see if we could do something else. So I sort of butted in there. It's like, it's a nice arrangement, but let's try this, let's try that. And because they're so open and so loving, and this band is just incredibly skilled, that
Yeah.
they let me meddle with their arrangement was, very lovely and open-hearted. And so I said, well, can we try a Hocket in the beginning, and then, but no, you don't play the same note. Let it, because it's four people and it's a triplet. It could go
Yeah.
around, so
Yeah.
you get different timbres every time.
Uh-huh.
And so so that's how that came about. So
Beautiful.
I'm the meddler.
I'm getting the idea of the word hocket from your use of it, but I didn't know that word before. Is that a word that's commonly used?
It's an old technique that comes from the Middle Ages. It's something that Gesualdo and other people used, where one melody is sung or produced by more than two people, or two people and plus.
Oh.
So sometimes a hocketus, it's called, can be, five people can contribute to it, and it
Somewhat
doesn't-
like a round.
Yeah, but if it's, ooh, ho, ha, hee, ooh, ho, ha, hee, ooh, ho, ha, ooh, ho, ha. So it's, different voices contributing to one melody. So that's a very old technique,
I see.
actually.
Yeah. It's funny. I should send you this Bob Moses piece of it was a solo on Embraceable You, and he recorded it like that. He recorded each instrument, bop, da da, da da da.
Yeah, it's
Wonderful.
like the frogs, the singing frogs.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, let's hear this. Here we go.
I don't think I've ever heard this.
Oh.
The end.
Oh. Ooh, damn.
Was that looked very jittery and sounded like the sound was coming in and out. I don't know if it was just on my end, but
I'm not sure. I think I've noticed that the connections to YouTube are a little not smooth anymore. I'm not sure if it's anything I've done or maybe it's just in general the internet or but it's interesting that you heard it too. But as the visual, you mean just
the visual would give me a headache, but it was really well done because it sort of had this swaying smooth motion, but now here it's like and the sound too. So
you really have that. I didn't have that.
Okay, good.
It's
the reason I wanted to play that is because of repertoire choice. I mean, it's a Henry Purcell song and a Massive Attack, mid-90s kind of electronica thing. The use of loop is different here. It has harmonic, has a harmonic repetition over which I sing, and sort of kind of absurd that I'm the drummer in this for a while, but Ulysses really liked to play with that.
As a percussionist kind of.
Exactly, and then it's over from there. So sort of different trying out different concepts as far as integrating the electronics into the band context, just using it texturally and sometimes very, very precisely, harmonically and rhythmically. So, yeah.
Wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very inspiring. This visit today, talking to you and hearing your concepts, made me think of things that I have thought of before and just kind of put on the back burner somewhere. And this particular way that you are involving different tempos and kind of different moments in space, I love that. And I think when I first heard Marvin Gaye's record, What's Going On, that was one thing I loved about that record. It never ended. It was this big composition, and that was something that I really loved all those years ago, and I still love that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 2 hours, Theo, and
wow.
I just want to say that this was a really, really very enjoyable conversation. Thank you so much for sharing 2 hours.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone that tuned in. That's very lovely. And we have the same birthday. I cannot get over that. This is just insane.
I'm going to be thinking about that.
Yeah, I have to process that. So
I know, man. You're my brother. It's just.
I said before we started this, I said, we don't really know each other that well, but we're going to get to know each other during these 2 hours, and we have the same birthday. Wow. Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That's really
is there anything that you want to tell people to watch out for as it's coming up, or?
Check out the Westerlies record that I did. It's on Bandcamp.
Okay.
It's called This Land. I think it's worth a listen.
Yeah, I definitely wrote down,
Yeah.
and I also want to see Meredith Monk now more. I've heard her name, but I honestly have to say that I had never heard her really. It's a visual. It's best to see her perform and see her pieces because they involve movement and visuals and stuff. But her music is magic. She's incredible. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I certainly wish you great stuff happening and whatever you want in your life. I send you
for all of us to come back and have a sense of purpose, in this world. It just seems a little tough.
It's a little challenging. I've been using that word a lot lately, challenging. So I'm kind of, the glass half full type of person. So I really hate to,
I always say we're in drying times, not trying times, but drying. It's just dried up.
Well, I'll leave you with an idea that I've been listening to this New Age preacher, Michael Beckwith, for a long time, the Agave Church. And he said something that was really cool. He said, if you have a near-death experience, it's really a near-life experience because you kind of die and then you review everything. And when you come back, you have a really different point of view, and you're more hopeful and it's like a more positive idea. And he said he feels like the planet has had that experience, a near-death experience, but actually near-life experience. And it's just so accurate,
Yeah. I just hope I come out better on the other end.
I do too. But whatever it is, I think, I know we'll do our best. And so it's all that we can do, right?
There's nothing we can't do if we're born on May 28th. There's nothing we can't take on.
Da, 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 da.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, flying through the picture. Oh, wait, hold on. Whoops. Wait, it's all worth it. It'll be all worth it. Hold on.
He was attached. Oh. Ooh.
Oh, I'm still flying. Wait. And that,
Thank you.
With that, I say...
That was fun.
That's good, right? The beginning was good, and then it sort of
That was
down.
probably one of the best endings I've had in 250 interviews.
Well, thanks for having me, Cathy.
Thank you, Theo, so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Have a great rest of the day, and see you. I'm posting all the rest of the week, so you can always come on around 12 and see some other great interview. All right.
Bye.